right as I was pressing record, I accidentally punched the bowl that had the beef pot pie in it. But the bowl was empty, so luckily it was nothing on the carpet. So what a way to start. Anyway, welcome to the Whomst podcast, episode 37. Yeah. Uh, I'm just watching. Actually, this today was actually supposed to be like two episodes supposed to be released or something like that. Because I was supposed to make it up for being such a lazy prick. Yeah, so I'm doing it now. I was just taking my time. I recorded the first one, released it, and I was watching like a bunch of like speed runs. Because YouTube's been getting really boring now since they've been like the apocalypse happened like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's getting really, really boring. You're seeing the same old shit. So now I'm just watching speed runs of games. That's what got me back into. That's what got me into Twitch. So the speed runs is really fascinating. Watch people basically destroy the shit out of these games, man. And some of now they speed run games that's like, well, they're speed running longer games. Now that's what's really interesting. Like, yeah, you can speed run Super Mario, or you can speed run Super Metroid and stuff like that, where it's old. The games are old, and you can easily glitch them out and all that stuff like that. But it's really interesting when they find ways to manipulate the code and stuff like that for games like Skyrim. Or I just watched a dude beat Resident Evil 4 on a GameCube, with a remastered one for the PC. He beat that one in like an hour and a half. And the one that I'm watching right now is Undertale. Uh, he's current. Well, I'm about 30 minutes in, but he beats that in about an hour 20 minutes or something like that. So yeah, it's really interesting just watching them like go do all these little maneuvers and stuff like that. How they like for the Undertale one, like he skips dialogue and skips whole boss battles just by opening up a specific item. It's like a punch card. Like you open up the punch card at the correct moment, you can skip the dialogue. The dialogue will still be on the screen as you're moving. And you just skip the whole room. It's pretty fascinating. But besides that, um, I wanted to do an update on the whole Terry Crews thing. I actually never talked about it. Like I talked about it a little bit on Instagram TV. No, I didn't. I never did anything on there. I don't think I did anything on Instagram TV yet. I had to do that too. Fucking Christ, today's busy. If you don't know, Instagram now released. You know how they had stories and stuff like that. It's like six to 10 seconds worth of video you can pop up, but now they released their own version of YouTube. You can release a video that's up from 10 seconds to about 10 minutes long now, and release it there. So people follow you and stuff like that. It's more. It's really cool actually. I just have to really I have to get used to it. It's made for people who like looking at videos, not landscape but portrait mode. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna start updating that. Then you see that at the bottom of the screen. Just follow me on Instagram. Right now it's at Cousin Broken. I don't think I'm gonna change it anytime soon. Thank you, phone. The Terry Crews thing. If you don't know, Terry Crews, he for these last few months has been telling his, I guess, his version of the Me Too thing, right? Um, Telling that the director, was it the Expendables? I think it's the Expendables director, but saying that the guy like grabbed his genitals, grabbed his dick, and it was like right in front of his family. No, not his family. Right in front of his wife and shit like that. And he was like, yeah. And how he explained it to the Senate, because that's where he was getting them. I might actually just post like the whole little interview right here. Give me 1 second.
I was sexually assaulted by a successful Hollywood agent. The assault lasted only minutes, But what he was effectively telling me while he held my genitals in his hand was that he held the power. You know, the first reaction was to be violent. And I immediately held back.
Why weren't you? You're a big, powerful man. Why didn't you?
Senator, as a black man in America,
Say it as it is. I think it's important.
you only have a few shots at success. You only have a few chances to make yourself a viable member of the community. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I have seen many, many young black men who were provoked into violence, and they were in prison, or they were killed, and they're not here. My wife, for years, prepared me. She said, if you ever get goaded, if you ever get prodded, if you ever have anyone try to push you into any kind of situation, don't do it. Don't be violent. I know the shame associated with assault. It happened to me. I'm not a small or insecure man, but in that moment and in the time following, I've never felt more emasculated. As I watched women and colleagues in my industry come forward to share their Me Too stories, this shame washed over me again and again, and I knew I had to act. As I shared my story, I was told over and over that this was not abuse, that this was just a joke, that this was just horseplay. But I can say that one man's horseplay is another man's humiliation.
So yeah, that was the gist of it, right? And 50 Cent and what was the dude's name? It's one of the Russells. Yeah, Russell Simmons. It was not the Russell brothers, it's the Simmons brothers. 50 Cent and Russell Simmons kind of joked about it. Russell a little less than him. He just kind of laughed on 50 Cent's Instagram post. 50 Cent, he did two of them actually, but one of them, the one that I found anyway, there's a picture of Terry Crews. It's like two pictures. The top one is Terry Crews without a shirt on, saying, "I got raped and my wife just watched." And then the bottom picture is him with a flower in his mouth saying "gym time." Then his comment, the caption for the picture was 50 Cent laughing. "What the fuck is going on here, man? Terry, I froze in fear. They would have to put me in jail, man. Get the strap." That dumbass shit. Of course, at first, when I first read about it, people weren't like as like quick to like remove 50 Cent from, you know, from his business. You know how like Jesus Christ, that's a terrible you know how, okay, I mean, it's nowhere close to as serious as what Chris Hardwick did, right? But 50 Cent is basically teasing someone who got sexually assaulted. And usually people, especially Twitter, are quick to put people in the fire when you do shit like that, when you tease the victim, right? So how quick people were to react to the Chris Hardwick thing, like, hey, cancel everything right away. I didn't really understand when I first read this about a week ago why I didn't see one hashtag cancel powered show that I'm not sure if 50 Cent produced or he's on, but the show that he's a part of, the Power. I didn't see anybody saying, "Oh, we need to cancel all that. We need to do that." That little pretentious tweet of 50 Cent canceled, right? I didn't see all that, right? But so at first I was thinking, oh, this is some of that like hypocrite shit I've always been talking about, man. With the white dude, he does some fucked up shit like that, and put him under the throw him under the bus. Game over. But shit like Cosby, we had to go about 10, 15 allegations in before we start like, all right, he probably fucked up. He probably raped a few bitches. Uh, but then at first I thought we as black people were protecting us black people when it came to the whole 50 Cent thing. Like, oh, he can tease another man for a sexual assault, which goes to the whole thing about I'm trying to think and say at the same time. I'm having a problem with it because this one has layers to it, you know. It's going with the whole that really unfortunate thought that men can't get raped or sexually assaulted. So I thought maybe people were ignoring it because of that, just letting 50 Cent joke on it because of that. And then didn't let them joke because that's honestly that's how a lot of like ignorant black people do anyway. It's kind of like joke, and we all, oh, of course, we're just joking. That was his response too. Like once he started getting backlash, which took forever, and I finally found out through like BET of all websites that he was actually getting backlash for it, and his response was, "Oh, I put LOL in the caption, so obviously I was joking." I'm like, dude, come on. This is a serious situation, and this is actually is going to help other people who don't have this issue with the whole sexual assault realize and understand the women's point of view when they finally come out. So Terry coming out, what we need to do is support him, and 50 Cent and Russell Simmons in a smaller context, they need to change their ways and stop trying to have this ego and realize, oh, you did wrong. We don't care that you were joking. You need to realize you did wrong and support your fellow brethren. But what was crazy about the whole thing was they asked Terry too how he felt about 50 Cent teasing him, and he just like, oh, I like 50 Cent's music, it's okay, it's whatever. So yeah, Terry's immature, so we deserve, well, Terry deserves some type of apology from 50, and I hope soon, even though it's been a week now since he said it, hopefully we get some type of apology, not even like a super big one or anything like that, just tweet to Terry like, yo, my fault, dude. I understand, well, I don't understand what you're going through, and it was bad joke, bad timing. So I don't know, something, but we ain't get that from 50 Cent because, oh, he's too hood, so we ain't get that from the shit. It's unfortunate. I had a whole rant about us being like hypocrites towards our own people. Like, we can joke about shit, or we can do shit fucked up, and we'll kind of like let it go a little bit. But I don't know. But that went out the window when I found out people actually wanted to cancel 50 Cent stuff, which kind of makes me happy a little bit for the first time. Announces she's going back on tour. Ooh, all these advertisements. What else is here? What else I've been? Oh, dude, I haven't been playing my system much lately. I've been too busy. I might play a little bit of Fortnite after this. But I've heard Google. I'm a big fanboy of Google. Not because I'm like, if I go for Bing or go for Google, I go for Google all day. Maybe not so much on the laptops. It's very simple, but like, right? But Google is dipping their toes into the video game industry. Interesting, right? Um, they're not. It's just a rumor right now. I don't know how far they are into the whole process, but apparently they've been trying to get in. They've been looking at it for the last decade or so, or in this decade, if I was reading this article right. Google has been exploring video game for most of the decade. In 2014, the company was reportedly posed to acquire Twitch before Amazon swooped in. Rumors precloyed for years that Google was also attempting to launch an Android-based console similar to Amazon's Fire TV, but that didn't happen. It's like they keep giving up on shit. Plus, Android-based console, it sounds terrible. It sounds like the Ouya, the Ouya. Oh my god, that was like one of the first quote unquote successfully funded video game consoles on Kickstarter, right? And I couldn't back it because I didn't have money back when it was being funded. That was like, Jesus Christ, that was like 2010, 2011, back when I was just getting out of high school, going to college and shit like that. And so that the Ouya came out, and that was a hot mess. It was created by people who didn't really know what to do, how to make. They might have loved games, might have loved video games, stuff like that, but they just didn't know how to create it or market it correctly. Like, they had a bunch of good words to say, just like some of the words that I'm reading on this article about Google's up and coming game. Just shit sounds good, but stuff you don't really need for real. Like what the Ouya was, their big thing was all the games are free. All the games are fucking free. Which was they should have got sued for that shit. Honestly, it was a lie. It's saying all the games are free and you have the option to buy it. Like, what it sounded like was all the games are free and you can like donate money to the people. Is like some weird like you know how Twitch when you with the donate button, basically all the games are free. That was their big thing. All the games are fucking free. But no, when you got the Ouya, all the games were demos, like any other console, any goddamn console, right? That's what the fuck it was, right? They had some not AAA games, but games that you knew. They had like Sonic and shit like that, but it was demos. That's all the shit was, and the shit flopped. I bought it only because I heard you can download an emulator on it, and you could, and it was a pretty decent like emulator box. But like, if you ain't got the equipment to like stream that shit, it's not really worth it for real. It's a pretty decent, like I said, emulator box, but it's not extremely powerful. And them saying Google saying that they tried to launch an Android based console, that don't really make me feel good about it, like at all. Okay, let me read some more. In 2016, the Google Studio Niantic scored one of the biggest gaming successes of the last decade with Pokemon Go. Yeah. What that mean? But it has spun out into an independent company the year before, and Google has a long history of hiring game developers for projects that never quite materialize. Where my mouse at? In recent months, however, the chatter about Google has gotten louder. At the Game Developers Conference in March of this year, Google representatives met with several big video game companies to gauge interest in its streaming platform, which is codenamed Yeti. That's the code name for the system. Oh yeah, and it's supposed to be a streaming platform. You know how messy PlayStation Now is? PlayStation Now, you get to play old video games from instead of them integrating what the fuck is it? Backwards compatibility. No, they just released this system where you can play some older games for a price. Like it's like Netflix. It's like PlayStation Netflix, but for video games for back in the day. and depending on how good your internet is, depends on how well that game plays. So, a streaming platform video game console. Again, it sounds like the fucking laptop. It sounds like they're going very minimalistic with the whole gaming. It's like they're not gonna really try too hard when it comes to the hardware or anything like this. It's gonna cost too much, so they're gonna be like, oh, there's gonna be a streaming. You won't need to have super strong. Oh, Jesus Christ, we won't have the system. Won't be super strong. It won't be a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 killer, or Xbox 2 killer, or anything like that. It's just going to be our stuff with streaming our games. Oh shit! Google also took meetings at E3 in Los Angeles a few weeks ago. Those sources said, and from what we heard, the company is looking not just to woo game developers into the Yeti service, but to buy development studios entirely. Google did not respond to the request for comment. So, what is this streaming platform exactly? The Google service would offload the work of rendering graphics to beefy computers elsewhere, allowing even the cheapest PCs to play high-end games. I've heard something like this before. It sounds like it's going to be like the Steam box, a little bit. That's what it sounds like. Steam box, but like with maybe more third-party AAA games. It's like, what's the point? Like, your computer don't have to be super strong, because you get to just basically download the game, and all the hardware specs will be being offloaded from a different computer. Like, that don't sound good at all. That just sounds like you just have to have a really strong internet instead. Then play it on your Windows 98. As long as you have this USB or Google USB, the Yeti USB. The biggest advantage of streaming as opposed to physical discs or downloads is that it removes hardware barriers for games. But if you don't have the fucking internet that can haul ass, this is just going to be a waste of time. It's going to be a $200 console that streams games, and then half the people, even in 2018 or 2019, whenever the fuck this comes out, are still going to buy it and not realize, oh shit, I didn't know I needed internet. Just like with the whole Xbox One, and people was freaking out about how it was being only online and shit like that, and it's just a mess. Games like Call of Duty can reach a significantly bigger audience if players do not need an expensive graphics card or console to play them. So, are you saying this isn't a console then? As one person familiar with the Yeti described it, imagine playing Witcher 3 with a tab on Google Chrome. That sounds cool. It does. Not gonna lie, it sounds cool. But I don't know, man. Like the next sentence said exactly what I was thinking. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? Or sounds too much like the promise of other streaming platforms like OnLive, which failed because of lag and video compression that reduced quality. There you go. Fucking A. Many other rumors were heard need to be presented with some skepticism until we actually see them in action. One pie in the sky idea I've heard floated, for example, is heavy integration between Yeti and the Google-owned YouTube. Imagine you're playing a game and you run into a tricky boss and don't know how to solve a puzzle. Instead of opening your laptop and checking your phone for a guide, you can press a button to activate an overlay on your screen that queues up a YouTube walkthrough of the game you're playing. Which, if it's actually that fast, if it's just a button and the system kind of realizes what game you're playing, what level you were on, what boss you're playing, stuff like that, or whatever puzzle you're on, if it already understands where you are, so you press a button and it already searches for you, then that'd be cool. But other than that, if it just pops up YouTube and then you still got to type it in, like I might as well just look it up on my phone. Like that's just a useless, like a useless feature for the system. Like it sounds cool and all, but if it doesn't like basically do the work for me, then it's useless. You feel me? You don't need to be announcing it as if it's a groundbreaking feature. Whispers has been quieter about Google's hardware, whatever that may look like, but the rumors we've heard suggest that it will link up with the streaming service in some way. We're not sure whether Google is looking to compete with the technical specs of the next PlayStation and Xbox, or whether the Google console will be cheaper and low end, relying on the streaming service to pull weight. I don't know. Who knows how long this is going to take for them to actually get it? But for me to get excited about it, it needs to sound. They need to not really work so much about being unique, because I don't know, man. Here's the only way I'll actually be excited about the Yeti, Google's so-called video game console. And from based off what they described it and what they want out of it, the only way that I'll be excited about it is if they make a very small piece of hardware. It's like it's like the Raspberry. You know how it's a computer inside a USB basically. Like it doesn't have to be extremely strong if they want to really go with the streaming software, but put the video game console inside the USB so you can plug it up, connect to your Wi-Fi, or make it just big enough so where you can even hardwire it, and the little bit of technology that is inside the USB, that is what the main focus on the hardware is. That helps with the lag and keeping everything. What was it saying? What was it saying? The graphics and stuff like that. Like the little bit of hardware that's in this USB, all it really should be doing is just keeping everything balanced. Like that's all it should really be doing if they're gonna keep it with the streaming. Like wherever the servers is, where the games will be at, the servers, like I was saying, the servers should be like pumping out basically everything about the game towards the consumer, and this USB maybe mixed with like some type of maybe Google should put their foot down about the whole Google Fiber thing, right? So maybe they could bundle them together. Like, hey, get the Google Fiber internet with the Google Yeti console, and get all these games working at 100% with this like super fast internet, right? Like right now with my internet, like I don't know if it's just me, I got lucky or whatever, but I'm actually getting my 100 megabytes, and it's pretty decent. So if Google apparently has faster internet, better bandwidth and all that stuff, and they can fight the whole bandwidth situation, then mix that with this gaming system, the gaming streaming system, then it shouldn't be that many problems. Like, they should do a lot of beta testing though. Like, give out some free ones to some people. Like, hey, we'll pay you to test it out in some of the worst conditions. Let us know. Like game testers, just like put them underneath some some confidence contract or something like that. Like, hey, don't tell nobody, and take their time and don't give up like a lot of their fucking projects, and you should have a decent enough console that's cheap. Well, it won't be cheap if you bundle it with the Google Fiber. So, yeah. But other than that, I think if they follow all these rules that me the the expert in this whole situation. If they follow all those, then we might have a decent little game going on here. But yeah, I think I'm just leave it right there. Stop talking to myself. I'll see y'all next time. Oh, if you're listening, follow me on Instagram. There's gonna be a lot of changes. I might not be using my Facebook in a while. I might stop using my Facebook, start putting a lot of effort into Instagram, especially if I'm gonna be uploading a lot of stuff to Instagram TV. So follow me on Instagram at Cousin Broken, Twitter at Cousin Broken, Patreon. If you're listening on Podbean, it's right next to the play button. It's right there. Support with $1 a month. That'll help out. So yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.